Hello everyone. Welcome to a dedicated tutorial on how to unpack a sonnet you've never seen before. Let's dive right in. First of all, at least with sonnets, if you know the name of the author, you're halfway to knowing the form. If it was written by any one of the three major innovators, it'll be the style named after them. Edmund Spenser, William Shakespeare, John Milton. Those are your guys. If Spenser wrote it, you can pretty much bet your bottom dollar it's going to be a Spenserian sonnet. Same with Shakespeare, same with Milton. Voila, all done. But it gets trickier if you either can't guess the author or you know it's not one of those three guys. Maybe it's Michael Drayton or John Donne. That doesn't give you any clues. If you're not sure who wrote the sonnet, you're left with two ways to find the form. First, look at structural cues. Then go in and get nitty-gritty with the end rhymes. So structural cues. Remember, if the poem is exactly 14 lines long, it's probably a sonnet. If each line has 10 syllables, and especially if it's in iambic rhythm, it's definitely a sonnet. That's already enough to get you at least partial marks on the exam. Knowing what kind of sonnet is pretty much gravy. After number of lines and syllable count, you want to see if you can pick out whether this poem is in quatrains plus a couplet, or an octave and a sestet. But sometimes that's not easy to see at first, so you might move on to checking out the rhymes. So let's work on an example with a bit of a trickiness in it, because what's the point in doing an example that's easy? So take a minute now and look up, probably on poetryfoundation.org, Shakespeare's Sonnet 116. So this is the poem. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark, that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth is unknown, though its height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. It's just really pretty, isn't it? For a sonnet where the author is unknown, and pretend you don't know who wrote this, one of the best ways to sort out the rhyme scheme is to read the poem aloud, just like we did, and then label the different sounds that you hear at the ends of the lines. And normally for this we use letters to label sounds, A, B, C, D, etc. So starting at the beginning. Let me not to the marriage of true minds. What sound is that? Eins, like eyeball. So label that A. Line 2, admit impediments. Love is not love. Last sound was of. Label that B. Which alters when it alteration finds. Oh, that's eins again. That's a repeat. Great. A again. So we've got A, B, A. What's the next one? Or bends with the remover to remove. Oov. We had eins, of, eins, oov. Okay, that's different. So C. Pause for a second. You know this poem is a sonnet. It's 14 lines long, has 10 syllables in each line, and uses iambic rhythm. Wham bam. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds. This boom bop. You might also notice that the punctuation breaks this poem up into 3 quatrains and a couplet. The periods, there are periods that come neatly at the ends of line 4, 8, 12, and 14. That can tell you that this is an English sonnet, quatrains and a couplet. That's a lot of information right off the bat. Given that you know this is an English sonnet, you may look at your rhyme labels in the first 4 lines there and get confused. You might go, but we didn't study any English sonnet forms that use an A, B, A, C rhyme scheme. Don't panic. First of all, English sonnet is already a high-quality answer if you're trying to label this thing on a test. But to solve the riddle, I'll explain what's going on here. Sometimes poets use what are called visual rhymes. 2 words that don't quite rhyme, but are spelled the same way. So examples would be love and remove, both end with O-V-E, comb and bomb, both O-M-B, snow and now, both N-O-W. Those are all visual rhymes. If you notice, when you're trying to work out a sonnet, that your rhyme labeling has come out to an unlikely result, always have a look for a visual rhyme that might have tripped you up. In this case, you are very smart, and you notice that love and remove are a visual rhyme, so remove should technically be labeled B, same as love. Now your first 4 lines are A, B, A, sorry, they're not A, B, A, C, rather it's A, B, A, B. Great. If you're super on your game, that might be enough to confirm for you that this is a Shakespearean sonnet. Or you might carry on just to be sure, make sure everything stays doing what it's supposed to be doing. Next quatrain. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark. Arc, new rhyme, label that C. That looks on tempests and is never shaken. That akin sound, new rhyme, label that D. It is the star to every wandering bark. Aha! Arc! Hark! Another arc. That's C again. Whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Akin, that's D again. C, D, C, D. Now we've got 2 quatrains of A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D. That is Shakespeare's definitive progressive rhyme scheme. Hooray! This is a Shakespearean sonnet. You did it. You don't even need to keep going after this. You've hacked it. But just to follow through what we've learned, let's take a look at the rest. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. Cheeks, come, weeks, doom. That's another tricky one. Come and doom aren't a visual rhyme. They're not spelled the same way. Come and doom are what we tend to call a slant rhyme. They have some resemblance in sound, but we wouldn't consider it a true rhyme. Now, one of the possible reasons for slant rhymes, especially in older poems like this, may be the difference between our contemporary pronunciation of words and the way that they would have been pronounced in Elizabethan dialect. If you can spot a slant rhyme, you'll know to label this quatrain E-F, E-F. Final couplet. If this be error, and upon me proved, meaning, if I'm the lunatic, if this is all a joke, if this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. It's kind of like, so help me, I stake my reputation on it. This is how things are. Proved and loved. That's another visual rhyme. Proved and loved sound totally different on the ear, but they look exactly the same to the eye. Now, helpfully, this is basically the same pair of sounds that were rhymed in your first quatrain, love and remove. Here it's love and prove. So that's your GG rhyme of the final couplet. There you have it. Shakespeare's Sonnet 119. It was Sonnet 119, wasn't it? I believe it was. 116. Shakespeare's Sonnet 116. This is one of the trickiest trick question examples of a sonnet that you could come across on a test. And I will probably not be that mean. True rhymes, visual rhymes, and slant rhyme. Like, come on. Too much. But many sonnets, I might even go so far as to say most sonnets, will probably throw at least one curveball at you. There might be one visual rhyme, one slant rhyme, one line that it just, I mean, I guess you could technically say it's iambic pentameter, but the way you read it, if you give it any emotional verve, it doesn't seem to want to fit perfectly into iambic pentameter, but I guess all the other lines do, you know, like, chill out. If the example that you're looking at is just one stroke shy of watertight in its conformity to the rules, use the collection of all your evidence, the burden of proof, structural cues, rhyme scheme, the location of the turn, the logical turn, which we talk about more in another video. That collection of evidence, you'll be able to tell what you're working with. I hope this was helpful. Till next time, you got this.